All right, good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, May 21st, and the time is 7:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And this is kind of just a general overview of what we have going on across the country right now. And notice there is not a whole lot of warnings here. There are some flood warnings here along the rivers, as there has been quite a bit of rain here across the Ohio Valley, the Mississippi Valley region here into the central United States, as we had back-to-back days of severe weather this week. Moving forward, notice we do have these ongoing showers and thunderstorms this morning here. We have some here across the central United States here, Kansas into Oklahoma, Iowa, as well as here down in southern Texas down here where there is quite a bit of flooding going on down here. And then these will kind of continue to work their way through as we continue on into later today. As we move into this evening, there is a low-end severe weather threat today, basically from eastern Colorado into the extreme northern tip of the panhandle of Oklahoma. If you're in that area, you're under a slight risk or a level 2 out of 5 on the SPC's risk level outlook. There is also a marginal risk stretching from southern Texas into western Nebraska, and then a large general thunderstorm risk here, kind of stretching across the southern United States here into the Great Plains. And there is a low tornado potential today. The NATOcast is showing a general 2 to 3% chance of tornadoes today, associated with the thunderstorms that will be developing this afternoon here, basically into eastern Colorado. And I do want to highlight the potential for flash flooding today. The Weather Prediction Center has highlighted a large marginal risk here, basically from Colorado into Alabama down into Texas, with two slight risks of excessive rainfall. One being down here in southern Texas, and if we go back to the current radar, that is basically because of all this ongoing rainfall we have down here. And then once again over here into Oklahoma, there is another slight risk of excessive rainfall. There is also another marginal risk over here towards the East Coast. Tomorrow, not too far off from being the same area, but there is another slight risk tomorrow here into the panhandle of Oklahoma, and then northern portions of Texas, as well as a marginal risk over here. There's not a whole great concern for severe weather tomorrow, but it does look like the opportunity is there for at least a low-end severe weather threat. Today is probably going to have a greater risk of severe weather, in my opinion, with a low-end tornado potential. And this is kind of like what we're looking at right now. Basically, this is the 06Z GFS model, and I am using tropical tidbits to look at this data here. And as we kind of continue to move on, notice we have all these ongoing storms, and that's why there is a excessive rainfall concern here, Oklahoma and Texas, as well as over here in the Appalachians. As we continue to move forward, notice we have a 996 millibar low pressure system developing here, southern Colorado, and it's going to kind of track its way off to the north and east here. But that is a rather strong low pressure system, so we could have some tornadoes here into eastern Colorado and far western Kansas today, as well as into northern portions of Texas today. I would not be surprised if we didn't have a few tornado warnings later this evening for some of these storms out here. As we continue to move into the overnight hours, notice these storms just kind of continue to move on through here. And as we get into tomorrow evening, notice we have another low pressure develop here, a 997 here develop here. And this will set the stage for tomorrow's severe weather threat, which is right here. So yeah, if you're in western Oklahoma into northern Texas, this is why you're in that level 2 out of 5 for tomorrow. It's because of this storm system here. Current thinking is that there could be some severe weather out of this system here. Low in potential, but the potential is still there. Have ways to get watches and warnings. Um, Once we get past tomorrow, honestly, the severe weather threats are going to go down significantly, and we're gonna kind of enter a slow period here. We will have repeated thunderstorm chances, but I'm not seeing anything that is concerning as far as major severe weather goes. Um, as we get into early next week, notice we just kind of have sporadic thunderstorms across the entire, United States here. This is mid next week here, and notice there's just storms all over the map. And if we're going into Cape values, there is, there is the storm field there, but is there a lifting mechanism? Are we going to have the low pressure systems move through? Strong low pressure systems develop? It's not looking like it right now. If we can get one or two clippers to move through here, we could have some severe weather threats next week. There is plenty of moisture here to work with. We have dew points in the mid to upper 60s across the entire eastern half of the United States. Towards the second half of next week, and I do think we will start to enter a more favorable period of severe weather as we move into the latter half of next week, with the beginning part of the week being kind of slow. If we go back over here to the precipitation model, notice we just kind of continue to have these daily, thunderstorm chances across the central United States here, and at this point, we're obviously a little too far out, so I don't want to go any further past this here. But we can go ahead and look at what the European model is showing as far as the extended forecast here, and this is what we have going on right now. Once again, we do have these storms here in southern Texas, as well as storms over here in Oklahoma. Moving forward here, this is this evening. Notice it has a weaker low pressure system, but there is still a low pressure system there in Colorado this evening. That will bring that low end potential severe weather. If you're in Colorado, western Kansas into western Oklahoma into northern Texas, you do have that risk of severe weather today. And if we kind of continue to play this on here, notice it does have general agreement with the GFS model as far as where this low pressure system will develop for tomorrow. And notice there is quite a bit of thunderstorm activity out ahead of this, but obviously the general severe thunderstorm risk will be kind of concentrated closer to this low pressure system, which is why the Storm Prediction Center did highlight that slight risk over here. Moving forward here, there's not too much going on the Euro, and it's kind of agreeing with the GFS. We're just going to kind of have sporadic thunderstorm chances across a majority of the United States from a day-to-day basis, especially across the southern United States. I think there could be areas of elevated precipitation down here. Flooding could become a concern if thunderstorms start training over the same areas. And I do want to go ahead and look at what the European is showing as far as dew points. And notice if we go back to the GFS, there is a general agreement as far as moisture for next week. So I do think we could have a more active or favorable period of severe weather as we move into the second half of next week here. And you can kind of see that on the European model here as we begin to move forward. This is for Tuesday evening next week, and as we move forward here, notice there are quite a bit of storms across the United States here. This is next Friday, and let's look at our temperatures here. So our temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s for a general portion of the United States here, and this is over the next week. Notice temperatures are basically just kind of fluctuate from the 70s to the 80s. No major dips as far as temperatures go. So there's not a whole lot of major cold fronts coming in. But once again, this is what we have going on right now across the United States here. Once again, there is that rainfall going on here across the East Coast into the central United States. And then once again down here into southern Texas here, where flash flooding is obviously becoming a major concern. And I want to look back at this outlook here. And notice the Weather Prediction Center does have this slight risk of excessive rainfall here into portions of southern Texas here into central Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and northern Texas. And once again, here is the day one excessive rainfall map here. Obviously, severe weather is a concern, but you want to have multiple ways to get watches and warnings, including flash flood warnings here. That's all I got. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe, share the video so we can get out to more people. But that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.